From the ECSI Sports Studios and the #1 sports investors in America, we bring you the closing bell. As the market closes, legends Jeff Dawson and Riley Magnuson bring you all the sports investing tips for tonight's matchups. If you want to learn more from the two legends at the desk, make sure you stay tuned to the closing bell. ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all of your sports books and track all of your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You can also sign up for sportsbooks and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as they're the best account on the platform. Head to the App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire to download the app.
Good afternoon, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the co-host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is the closing bell for Monday, October 16, 2023. Yes, we all survived the weekend. Crazy weekend of action, whether it was NHL and college football on Friday, NCAA football and MLB on Saturday, NFL on Sunday. I know I went to sleep Friday night. It was kind of funny. The ECSI VIPs, we had Stanford +7, plus 270 on the money line for pizza and beer on that end at Colorado. And I waited and I watched the first half. It was 29-0. Then I got a Google notification around 3:30 in the morning, and I had to wipe my eyes 3 times. I saw Stanford came back and won the game in double overtime there. And it happened again Saturday night. Colorado State team total on the desk, 24.5, and I was happy. And then a pig and doo-doo. I was like, oh, they hadn't scored at half and 3 points in the third quarter, and I wake up and they scored 31 points, barrage in the fourth quarter there. But anyways, shout out to the men behind the desk, Mr. Joseph Shea, Evan Lewis, Olu Bennett, and of course, Kate Horton. Shout out to our new sponsor and partnership with WagerWire. If you have not already, please go to Google Play or wherever you download your apps. Download the WagerWire app. It is an amazing app. And if you want to maybe make a little side cash as well, go to send an email to affiliate@wagerwire.com and tell them JD sent you at ECSI, and they'll take good care of you. Tomorrow, 10 a.m., Tuesday, for the Breakfast Bankroll, CEO and founder Travis Geiger from WagerWire will be joining us to talk all about that as well. So with that, without further ado, let me bring in the other star of this show, the one and only Mr. Riley Magnuson. What is up, Riley?
On. All right. Hopefully I'm fixed now. I apologize. I don't know. That was not my microphone here, so I don't know what the heck was going on there. But my computer's lagging a little behind. But happy Monday, my friend. Happy to be here to start the new week. Excited to get going on what we've got going on not only tonight, but I'm sure recapping a little bit of what went on this weekend because obviously fantastic. One of my favorite months of the year in the sports calendar, where it's not necessarily loaded each day with action, but obviously high interest action with the MLB playoffs starting first game in about 10 minutes, I believe, and then obviously Monday Night Football and everything that we had going on this past weekend, on top of a little other sports sprinkled in with the NHL as well. So I am ready to rock and roll, my friend. What are we going with first here?
I'll take the baseball game for a second. I want you to take over down 0-1, watched last night. I'm going to take care of this little problem, then I'll jump right in.
Yeah. So as you mentioned, that's a fair point to start. 10 minutes from now, Texas and Astros. As you mentioned, Texas gets the 1-0 series lead last night. Jordan Montgomery, fantastic outing, which a little full circle on our baseball season that we've had here. Jordan Montgomery laughing while he was still in St. Louis, I think it was, about his early parts of the season, and now he's throwing game one and throwing a gem in the ALCS there. But Verlander on the other side kind of grinded through his start, not bad himself, but 2 runs, obviously not going to do it last night. Astros offense a little stagnant there, but pitching matchup not disappointing on paper today either. Neither of these games, that's for sure. Nathan Eovaldi, who obviously was fantastic to this point in the playoffs against Tampa Bay and Baltimore, and then you've got Framber Valdez, who I've got a lot of respect for, but did not have his best stuff against Minnesota first time around. About 8 days ago now, Sunday the 8th against Minnesota, 4 1/3, 7 hits, 5 earned runs there. So he's obviously looking for a bounce back. Houston offense looking for a bounce back. Anyone who's faced Eovaldi is looking for a little bit of a setback there, or anyone who's been betting against him obviously looking for a setback tonight, because he's obviously been fantastic. But you've got Houston price of 125 tonight, or at least right now is what I'm seeing, 124, with a total of 8.5 as compared to a game tonight that's got a flat 7. So interested to see what we're thinking with that one. But obviously Texas rolling as hot as they come right now. Offense finally a little stagnant last night, but obviously sweep Baltimore, take 2 from Tampa Bay, and then take last night. So have not lost in the playoffs yet. While the Astros, only team of the 4 that had the first round bye that makes it through. The one game against Minnesota, lose 2-6. That one with Framber Valdez that we're talking about, and then lose last night, obviously. So getting things started, this is obviously a huge one. Astros need to even things up to avoid going down 0-2, heading back to Texas. I don't know. Is the general consensus in this one that Eovaldi is going to continue to be Eovaldi, or are people giving some Astros some credit here? Because you don't got to tell me twice with Mr. Valdez. Valdez is one of my favorite somehow still under the radar despite the postseason success he's had. 12-11 on the season this year, 3-4-6. So not winning any Cy Young awards, but I mean when he's on, you put him in the same category there. Are we looking for a little Eovaldi setback, or are you not getting in front of that Bulldog train that's going right now?
Well, there you go. You used the word Bulldog. I guess outside looking in, when are we going to start giving some respect to the Rangers, who are now, if my math is correct, 6-0 in the playoffs, and 5 of those games on the road. We'll see the same thing now with the D-backs tonight. I had a tough time with this one, and knowing how we work here at ECSI, the fly in the ointment here. I don't know if you're aware, because I had to do a double take. Both series are 2-3-2. So Texas did what they had to, and now theoretically they can lose today, win the next 3 at home, and never have to come back to Houston. So all the pressure in the world, obviously, is on Houston. Usually what happens here is Houston bounces back. It's 1-1. They go back to Texas. Texas will win 2 out of 3, be up 3-2, and have to come back to Houston. I did something a little different here. I was like, you know what? It's not that big of a price to lay on Houston tonight. But again, the smart eyes would say, hey, if I had Texas last night, I'm going to take the Bulldog tonight. The number as we speak opened at -125, down to 120, as high as 128 at South Point. Shout out to Jimmy Vaccaro and Chris Andrews, good friends of the show. Got a little tricky here, Riley. Give me the Astros plus 165 to come back and win the series. I'm going to take the plus money here. I don't have to lay the juice tonight. Still, even if they lose today, they're going to have to win 2 out of 3 in Texas to get it back to Houston. I looked at some team totals. You could get plus money on either side to get to 5. The numbers are kind of funny. Texas's team total in one spot was 3.5 minus 140, and our real reliable source is 4.5 juiced under minus 140, and Houston 4.5 under minus 145. So if you like Houston today and you don't want to lay the juice, you can get plus 125 on Houston to get to 5 and not have to worry, because you know what? I think there's going to be some runs scored in this game, Riley.
Well, on top, I mean, before I say what I was going to say, pointing out the 2-3-2 thing is not nothing. And looking at that series price, it's not nothing. I mean, that's something to look at, obviously. And I'm sure, even the most educated fan might sometimes forget that that's a 2-3-2 situation there. So I think that's fair to note, because you pop that up and you see, wow, that still seems a little slight. And then you say that 2-3-2, like you said, they could lose today and they still got 3 games at home to close things out. So I think that's worth noting. But I mean, obviously one's in Houston, one's in Philly, might be some wind involved. But even the 8.5 game total as compared to the 7 game total in the other game is kind of interesting when you look at the two. I mean, the two pitching matchups between these two. I mean, obviously Gallen and Wheeler maybe on paper might be better pound for pound pitchers, but as far as playoffs go, I don't put Evaldi and Valdez that much lower than them. And I mean, forget about the offenses there. So I thought that, whether or not that is the deciding factor that this one's going to have runs is not necessarily it. But I was surprised to see the discrepancy in the two games between the two totals here with all 4 of these pitchers going tonight. So I'm with you. I'm not saying I think Evaldi's going to get lit up for 6-7 runs, but I don't know. I guess I'm kind of in that space of, if not, he's not going to be 0-1-2 runs allowed through 6-7. I think he's going to give up a few more than that, like you said.
Yeah, and I agree there too. And it's funny, in playoffs, the further we go, it's the no names, the Bridgies that come out of nowhere. I'm like scratching my head trying to do some homework here. Who's this? Who's this? And then Chapman comes in, and they were within a whisker of tying the ball game up there. Bregman just missed that one. Texas coming in real loose right now. And again, they got some good news today. Max will be ready for game 3, and I'm not expecting Mad Max from the glory days, but if he can grit out 2, 3, 4 innings for them without giving up, crooked numbers in each of those innings, I think the home field and the adrenaline and just the playoff setting will get him through the first couple innings there. But again, try and get a little tricky here, and listen, the 125 is not a big number to lay. Excuse me. If the Astros win, they'll go back to being the favorites in the series. So I'm like, you know what? Give me the plus 165, because if the Astros win today and they steal game 3, I can go back in game 4, take Texas plus 220 to win the series, guarantee me plus 65 cents at worst, and we move on.
Yeah. No, you said it perfectly. I'm drawing a blank. Who is it? Javier probably for the Astros in Game 3 as well.
Yeah, that would be my assumption.
Another guy who's no slouch either. So guys with postseason experience in this situation. So I'm with you. I think that's an unbelievable strategy to play out of this one. I think we're gonna get some fireworks tonight. If you had to, or I should say this afternoon, starting in a couple minutes here. If you had to give out any home run props for that game, if you had to do any looks here, a little entertainment before we move on to the second game.
Houston. I mean, the obvious would be Alvarez, but I'll go. What's the number on Kyle Tucker?
Kyle Tucker, I see plus 470 for a Kyle Tucker bomb over here.
Yeah, which means he's not going to, but I'll take Kyle Tucker on the left side there. We got a lefty with Valdez there. Give me a righty. Here's a crazy one for you. What's Marcus Semien?
He is 560, plus 560.
So there's two dogs. Hey, combine them both and you got plus 1,000. We'll go Simeon and we'll go Tucker.
Hey, just looking at their career numbers, Simeon's the only one with he's 9 for 31 lifetime against Valdez, a couple of bombs, only one in the lineup with a couple of bombs. Altuve has actually got 5 bombs off of Vivaldi out of 11 hits, 11 for 38. Half of them are bombs, and then Alvarez has only got 1 bomb, but he's a lifetime 8 for 11 against Eovaldi. So, but only plus 350. Only plus 350. So, no, I'm with the easy one is Alvarez. But as the game's getting going, my man Jose Abreu is due. If I understand, most people aren't rooting for the Astros, but anytime my man Jose Abreu is at the dish, I'm rooting for him. So that's why I'll go with him tonight. But also around 560, I think.
You know, something I thought of you every time we had the Twins in the series against the Astros, and I was just like, and I do. Abreu couldn't hit his weight during the regular season. Then I saw an Abreu homer, and I'm like, this is going to be a misprint. Then I see another Abreu homer, and I'm like, that damn SouthSide Riley, you pain in the bleep, bleep, bleep.
And if he's getting going, he's dangerous, man. That guy, if the flip is switched, he's a hitter, man. So I'm, as much as I hate to see him playing for the Astros, he's still got a place in my heart. So moving on to the next one, Diamondbacks, Phillies, 7:07 my time, 8:07 your time. Gallen versus Wheeler. This one is in Citizens Bank in Philly. And we mentioned a total of 7, I believe, was the last time. I think it's let's see. Any chance it might be on the move? I see minus 120 to the over, plus 100 to the under on that one, so could be moving anywhere, or could be moving to 7.5 soon. But let's see. Minus 166 on the money line for the Phillies. I'm seeing here minus 170. And like I said, you've got Gallen and Wheeler. Gallen, who hasn't had to do too much this postseason. I think just, I guess he's got the 2 outings. He didn't have to go again in that Dodgers series. He's well rested, hasn't pitched since last Monday. And so far, not out of this world, but a couple of runs each against the Brewers and Dodgers, gets the win in both of those games. And then you've got Wheeler, who has been pretty similar, 6 2/3, 6 1/3. Marlins, Braves, 2 games there. Pitched in the 1 game that the Braves won. Obviously not his fault on that one, but 3 hits, 2 earned runs there, 10 Ks though. So it did look pretty good there. Anything to make out of this one? Obviously, Diamondbacks have been playing really, really well. Another team that, 5-0, 4 of them on the road for the Diamondbacks there, and obviously the Phillies have taken care of business here at home. Are we jumping right into, were you surprised to see the Phillies as that big of favorites, or is that fair game with how much hype they've got right now and obviously Wheeler on the mound? No surprises there.
No, I think it was fair game. Again, the world is not buying the snakes. Even the series price, I just sat there. I don't like to give out minus 180s, 85s. What we did is after the Braves first loss in game 1, you could have jumped in on the plus money there, or before the series started, didn't want to delay the lumber. So we had the Braves winning the NLCS at plus money. And the thought of the process very simply was the winner of the Braves and Phillies, the winner of that series was going to win the NLCS. And I still think now I have to, put my hat on it. I think Phillies, Astros, I lean Phillies, obviously. I think a Phillies-Texas series would be a lot more dramatic. I really do. I think that would bring a new face into the American League. I don't need to see Mattress Mac celebrating a base hit every 2 seconds there. The number, I looked at it. I couldn't just give out the Phillies minus the 185. Again, maybe Gallen comes in and sneaks one out, and then you can get the Phillies at plus money. Again, to remind yourself, 2-3-2. We assume a very, I didn't want to use the word healthy, but a rested Merrill Kelly's all set for game 2. I assume against Nola. And then game 3, where you think the Phillies have the edge, will be, my assumption would be Suarez versus Fat there. So again, 3 games coming back in Arizona. So, Again, the thought process, they just moved it up. They're listening. Philly's team total was 3.5 over minus 130. And before I could spit it out, it just moved to over minus 140. You can either, if you like the D-backs, you can take them plus the 150 tonight, or you can just take them to get to 4. Team total over 3.5 plus 125 there. I think the pitching will shine early. You know what? It's a coin toss. It really is. This D-backs team is just not getting enough credit. The crowd in Philly, we know, is going to be fired up, especially after an Eagles loss yesterday at the Jets. So they'll be fired up here. If I had to do a home run prop, I'll try to jumpstart him. We'll go Kyle Schwarber. But it is Bryce Harper's birthday, by the way. So that's the easy free bingo square is Bryce Harper on his birthday. And for Philly and for Arizona, I'm a Coral Cabin. Coral. I'm a Corbin Burns guy. Yeah, Corbin Carroll. I was saying Corbin Burns. See if the phone's blown up here. Yes.
Yeah.
What is Carroll? It's got to be a monster.
Yeah, 6-1 plus 600.
Yeah. So thoughts?
But Bryce Harper 4-1. At least on this specific book that I'm looking. 4-1. Kyle Schwarber 320. Not fantastic success against Gallen, but that hasn't stopped him in past postseasons. But he's got to get going at this point. Maybe at the late inning or a late game bomb or something from Schwarber against someone else. But 320 there. No, and when I mentioned Gallen well rested. Who he is well rested. Merrill Kelly's the one that's only pitched once in the postseason. Gallen's got 2 of them, so I had that mixed up there. But no, I mean if Merrill Kelly is if they're able to make a deep postseason run and Merrill Kelly is feeling good, then that's obviously a huge asset there. Obviously, you have other teams that make deep postseason runs, but it's gassing out whoever it is, whatever arm they've got there. So that's huge for them, obviously there. So no, this is one where I'm kind of sitting back a little bit, waiting to see what happens in Game 1 here. Not really feeling too strongly. Like you said, I like both these pitchers to have a nice day here, but it's obviously tough to win in Philly, but that's gonna. I think we get a split here. I guess is where I'm leaning with this opening 2 games is really where I'm at. So I'm kind of sitting back on this first one.
Yeah, and I think with the 2-3-2, you can confidently sit here and say, if both road teams get a split, they did what they had to. Expect the Astros bats to wake up. Now, whether it's enough to get through and get that split, even down 2-0, it's not astronomical, no pun intended there, that you can't at least get one in Texas to get it back home.
As we're talking 2-0 top of the first, Texas over Houston, 2-0 in the top of the first.
That's why a dangerous team playing with house money. That's the Rangers and that's the Diamondbacks. And let me just say this: a Diamondbacks Texas series, no one had that one, and that would be real fun to watch.
No, I'm about it. Yeah, I'm all for it, man. I'm fine with the Phillies. If they get it, I'm happy. But obviously, I think like most of the world, I am sick of seeing the Astros in the old Masters Mac, as I know you always mention with them, because I am sick of it too. But we'll move on unless you got anything else. I guess I'll agree on Schwarber's going by. It's almost to the point where I'm maybe not today, I don't know, but almost to the point where you take Schwarber until he gets one. But I don't know. And Castellanos 450. I won't go with him today. You said Corbin Carroll. I'll say Christian Walker plus 560. So not feeling great about those odds with a guy who had over 30 home runs. I think he had over 30 home runs. But I'll go Christian Walker and see how we go there. But anything else out of these 2 games here?
No, and before we dive into the NFL and briefly touch upon the NHL, I want to go back over the weekend. Some amazing games. I talked on the intro. The Colorado Buffalo collapse up 29-0 at halftime to Stanford and losing double OT. I talked all week about the game of the week, Washington and Oregon, and Washington won the game. if you want my honest 2 cents, I think long-term Oregon would have been the better Pac-12 potential to get to the Final Four. I just think if that game was played at Oregon or if that game was played on a neutral site, they would have found a way to win. The coach went for it every time on 4th down, and even the end of 4th and 1 gets stopped. Washington scored in 2 plays, and they had almost 2 full minutes to come down and tie the game or win the game there. It was like, I said to a few colleagues and friends, it was like watching Tua. I was comparing Tua to Penix Jr., and I was comparing Bo Nix to Herbert because, obviously he came from Oregon. That was a great game there. I was thinking of you the whole time with Wisconsin and Iowa, who Iowa comes into Madison and takes care of business.
Hey, I can't say obviously I didn't do it, but I said if you like Iowa, might as well sprinkle the money line. But and you were right about sticking to the Big Ten for a second. You nailed Illinois. I was not expecting them to hang with Maryland there, and they not only cover, but they get the win. So you were right on that one. We were both expecting some points for Ohio State. I know that. And just missed the Rutgers cover. That was the other one. Rutgers wins, but didn't cover there. And then Michigan obviously continues to be Michigan there. But and the other one, yeah. Shoot, man, Colorado. I turned the game on. I think it was Friday night, right? Ready to maybe watch the second half in bed, and it's 29-0. So I was like, I guess I'm going to bed. Wake up at 7 the next morning, and all my alerts are Colorado losing. What the hell? So let's see, Georgia. Not to cut you. I know I kind of cut you off though. Alabama kind of playing with with Arkansas was a little concerning. I know a lot of people were expecting them to really lay the wood there. Obviously, doesn't really hurt them in the long scheme if they continue to win games, but that one was one that was a little concerning for my eyes.
Yeah, and it was funny. I sent out the second alert as now Texas up 3-0. Valdez gives up a couple hits early, then a fielding error, which has opened up the floodgates. He got a big strikeout against Heim there, 3-0, still 2 guys on. A couple things there. When I sent the alert out, I went over to DraftKings, and this was at halftime, actually. Alabama plus 2,000 to win the national title. And I gave you that popsicle headache. If this team wins, that team wins. And what crazy all the one-loss teams could be to who gets into the Final Four. Alabama set up, pretty damn good. 10-point favorites this week at Tennessee, at home against Tennessee, and then they'll have a couple weeks to get ready for LSU at home, and then they'll play the Iron Bowl. My point is they should come in with 1 loss, play Georgia, who will be undefeated, who Georgia's got chinks in the armor, and a big blow today came out is the All-American star tight end done for the season. With potential ankle surgery. So they lose Mr. Bowers, who's going to a big cog in their offense there. So my point is, I think Alabama could cheat, get to that title game. And if they get to the Final Four, you're sitting with a plus 2,000, which I guarantee has gone down today there. So that was they played grab ass. They had the big lead at half. They let them back in there. And then, of course, the cherry on top, the nightcap, Caleb Williams and USC going into Notre Dame, and I knew it was a good bounce back spot for Notre Dame, but didn't expect that piss poor of a performance by USC.
And it's really tough at this point. I mean, as far as USC is concerned, I still have crazy hopes for Caleb Williams and his future, but they obviously have a defensive problem. You look at their last 3 games. I think it's 3 straight 40 burgers that they gave up. 2 of them were wins, obviously Arizona and Colorado, I think, as long as I'm getting that concerned. And I had high hopes for Notre Dame. They probably should have won that Ohio State game, but obviously now you just come in with 2 losses, and the rest of their schedule, halfway. I shouldn't say halfway. It'll be a tough game at Clemson, but yeah, if they had been able to beat Ohio State and then kept themselves up for that Louisville game, they'd be sitting real pretty to even if they lost that Clemson game, to be another one of the 4 teams in there. So, but I'm with you on Alabama. For me bringing that up didn't have anything to do with anything that you said. I am 100% on the, what team is setting themselves up to be in that type of position. Because would you? I guess this is a kind of a weird question. I might say that Georgia might still be at their best, better than anyone, but we have it. There's plenty of times where they're not looking at their best. Do you think there's a team that at their best is better than Georgia's best, or would you still get that to Georgia when they are there? I'm with you. They still got some flaws, and they're beatable as compared to the last couple of years. Would you still say that at their best they're the best team when they have their best stuff?
Well, without Bowers now, I had asked Paul Stone and a couple other experts on a neutral field what the Oregon Georgia line was, and most of them had Georgia -1. So right there was an alert with me on Oregon, and now without Bowers. The Michigan team's funny because, listen, they're just rock solid and they're just beating up on everyone. But, and it's a big but, when they get to that Final Four, look what happened to them against TCU. Look what happens to them when they play a speed team from the SEC, and even go back to the Clemson days. So I'm not 100% sold. We'll get a better test in a couple weeks at Penn State. Penn State plays Ohio State this week at Ohio State. The line opened at 5.5 down to 4.5. I think you're going to see Penn State money coming in all week. I mean, I know it's only Monday here. Who do you like in that game?
You know what? I'm trying. These are the type of situations where, especially when I'm as the Big Ten guy, I'm trying to break some of that stuff down preseason and see what I think. And I mean, I had Penn State as kind of doing what they're doing now. So when I mapped out the season earlier on in the season, I had Penn State taking down Ohio State, and then and being honest with you, it's a good chance where all three of them beat each other, and they're all 3-1 losses, and whatever the tiebreak is what breaks them there. So I had Penn State over Ohio State before the season started. So I'm still I'm kind of sticking to that still, and I'm also, as the season's gone on, and obviously they've looked good now against a couple of obviously looked great against Purdue, who I told you I wasn't very high on coming into this week, but I'm just not as high on this Ohio State team with McCord at QB. Their defenses looked really good at times. So to answer the question a long way, I'm on Penn State, but obviously it's Monday, and like I said, it's one of those situations where I've been saying Penn State since early August. So now I'm trying to make sure I'm not have bias over that original take. You know what I mean? So I'm sticking with Penn State right now, but we'll see where we're at this weekend.
Yeah, the loss of Bauer now in Georgia, again, they're almost like tea bags this year, where they don't get work until they're in hot water. 4-0, didn't cover a game. In comes Kentucky, 14.5-point favorites. They maul Kentucky. And it was funny, the first game that we gave out was Vanderbilt team total over 10.5 on Saturday. And they scored a touchdown in the first 2-3 minutes, and they ended up getting 20 points that game. So we cashed that ticket. We went 4-0, by the way. ECSI VIPs on Saturday, 4-0 plus 4 units, which was a great day there. 5-1 for the weekend. So we were pretty stoked there. But the top four now, this is a year. I mean, you look at a Georgia undefeated. You look at a Michigan undefeated, Ohio State undefeated, Penn State undefeated. Then you go up in the Pac-12 right now, USC and Oregon now with 1 loss, Washington undefeated. You still got a Texas team with 1 loss. You got an Oklahoma team undefeated. Of course, Alabama sitting in the wings, 1 loss as well. So definitely going to be interesting as the Rangers now 4-0. Top of the first still and batting.
Yep. And to close it up, I don't know if you mentioned Florida State, but they're a good chance of them being a
yes,
0-loss.
I always forget
team.
them.
Yeah. And whether or not they deserve it. I mean, but you don't count. I mean, I'm not saying UNC is a top 4 team as compared to all these other teams in the country, but they might be a situation where it's Florida State against. I don't think they play each other in the regular season, so they could very well be UNC versus Florida State situation. I think UNC's got Duke and Clemson, which maybe you say they got a good chance of losing one of those. But the point is, one of those teams, if they're undefeated, especially if we're talking about a lot of these teams having a potential loss, is going to potentially be in there. So, and it stinks for the Pac-12 because you could make the argument that, like you said, that you got all these teams. Finally, this awesome season for the Pac-12 right before they disband, and they might end up beating each other up and keeping themselves out of it there. I hope not, because, like you said, Oregon or even if Washington, I would love to see Washington. They've got, I think, 4 or 5 games in a row towards the end of the season against some of these teams that are ranked right now. So it's tough sledding over there. And, and maybe all of it leads to me getting my wish and a couple of Big Ten teams being in there again. But I digress. You want to go over to NHL first or and get that out of the way, or you want to go to NFL?
Yeah, no, I'll go to the NHL here. I'm going to pull up some team totals. A tough slate today. Some big numbers here. What stuck out on the team totals in the NHL? Again, if you want some plus money here, I like this is a nice plus money. The Blue Jackets over 3.5 plus 125. They host the Detroit Red Wings there. I saw another one. This one really, there was a switch. Washington favored at home over Calgary. We had the Pittsburgh Penguins team total over on Friday night against Washington. We get there with 4. Can get sneaky here with Calgary to get to 4 tonight. Team total over 3.5 plus 130 instead of laying the minus 125 there. Calgary to get to 4 plus 130 there. The whole world's on the Bedard at Toronto. Everyone loves the over here. If you wanted to get your feet wet in that, I would go Toronto team total over 4.5 plus 115. They got to get to 5, guys. Vegas got this penciled in around 5-2. So in the pucks, that's where I lean there. Florida still on the road at New Jersey tonight. I don't like laying over 3.5 minus 135 with the Devils. I think a sneaky play is the Devils first period minus a half goal. You can get like plus 135, 140 there. Hopefully the Devils with a 1-goal lead at home versus Florida tonight in the NHL.
There you have it. I can definitely get behind that. So no Blackhawks upset is what you're telling me?
Listen, it's Toronto. That's the one team anything can happen. You know that. So if pizza and beer money on the Blackhawks.
There you go. That's what I need to hear. All right, NFL tonight. As far as we can do a little quick recap here. I don't know what your eyes saw yesterday out of the NFL. You had a decent game in the morning. I should say decent game, closely contested game. You've got a lot of obviously some big upsets. San Francisco falls to the wayside against Cleveland, who I didn't know. Did you hear this stat? That I don't know if it was after yesterday or before yesterday. Jim Schwartz, when he's on the coaching staff against Shanahan, is now like 9-1 straight up against Shanahan. Jim Schwartz.
I had heard the Browns had never beaten, I think, the 49ers. I think they were 0-12. And it was funny because on our action parlay, we get blown out of the water at 1 o'clock with taking the Colts as the dog at 1 o'clock. And on my desk, a few people reached out to me. We had the Browns plus the 9, plus the 270 on the money line with P.J. Walker at the helm, not Watson. I knew the defense would show up. They were a little pissy that Watson wasn't there. Also, during the game, McCaffrey gets hurt, Debo gets hurt, but they still had a chance to win the game. And the field goal kicker, I think from Michigan, wide right. So at 1 o'clock, we nailed that as a desk play. Our 4 o'clock dog was the Jets, plus the points, plus the money line, and they've come all the way back. This Philly team, ever since A.J. Brown started chirping about not getting the ball, their offense looks – listen, they can run for 300. We know that, but it's A.J. Brown and a cloud of dust. He forgot about Devonta Smith, who just might as well not even go out and run routes anymore.
I mean, by the groundwork that's been laid, he needs to throw his own temper tantrums now so he gets 10 targets next week, for God's sake. No, don't even get me started on that. That drives me nuts. I mean, you go back to him pouting when they're up 31-7 to Giants or whatever the hell it was. You're winning a playoff game by almost 4 scores. What are you screaming about right now, guy? So that one drives me nuts. It was the Eagles that were undefeated against the Jets. You had that flipped around. I think the Browns and maybe had some way. Yeah. It was the Eagles that or the Jets had never been the Eagles, but that defense is starting to come back around. That Jets defense there, and obviously, the Eagles have some tough stretches though. That's the one thing where if you had any anti-Eagles action, they've got a tough stretch coming up. As far as the Bills are concerned, they kind of play grab ass, as you like to say, with the Giants. Really, we're getting outplayed in that game for most of it. Josh Allen and that offense didn't look very good there. But obviously, Giants offense has its own problems. The end of the first half blunder was pretty inexcusable there. Thought Brian Dable was going to blow a gasket. What else? Saints offense not looking good against the Texans. I'm not saying I thought they were going to put up 30, but I don't think anyone should be that surprised by the Texans right now because they're starting to generate some serious good fortune there. They've got some studs on offense, some quiet young studs on offense. Nico Collins is the real deal. Let's see. Colts finally look a little ugly. Go figure. Can't go down to Jacksonville and hang. Jacksonville's offense looked a lot better there. Rams offense looked fine. You kind of mentioned it. I was expecting maybe a little bit of a closer game, but Lions defense really handles Baker in that offense. You mentioned that later in the week there. I ended up taking the under in that one, under 42 or 43.5. That one was easy. Bengals and Seahawks. Seahawks probably maybe, I don't know if you should say they should have won that game. Had plenty of chances to be in a better position to win that game, obviously. Seahawks had better chances to win that game against the Bengals there. The Bears was the one. I went 3-1 yesterday, so I'm not too upset. The Bears was the one. I think I'm just a curse on the Bears because of all the teams that I have negative records against, it is certainly any time I have action with the Chicago Bears. So by my own record, I might just keep doing that for my own Packers fans' sake there. But nonetheless, 19-13. Bears defense, who I think is on paper horrendous, kind of played their balls off yesterday. But Vikings kind of scrapped through that one. Obviously, Bagent, I don't know how you pronounce his name, who, aside from the two horrific plays, was able to move the ball a little bit for that Bears offense. But, kind of the ugly quarterback type plays, if he has to go some more, is definitely vulnerable for some ugliness there if the Bears have to keep him around next week. From what I heard, Fields dislocated, I can't remember, his finger, hand, whatever it was, or thumb, whatever it was. Said there's no timetable there. He'll be ready when the swelling goes down. So I don't know what exactly that means there, but I think they've got the Raiders coming to town this upcoming week. The Bears do. So interested to see how that one goes for them. They're obviously 1-5 now. But speaking of the Vikings, 2-4. I think they've got I don't know if they're home or away for the Niners. After that, their schedule gets a lot easier. I think I mentioned that 2 or 3 weeks ago. Everyone's panicking and trying to ship Kirk Cousins out of town already. I think they are who they are, but their schedule does get a lot easier to where if the 7th seed in the NFC is 8-9 wins, I think the Vikings are still going to be around 7-8, maybe 9 wins, maybe not 9, but 7-8 wins. They might be fighting for it down the stretch there. So even without Justin Jefferson, they were able to move the ball a little bit, but obviously that Bears defense is tough to judge there. So anything else I missed? I don't even want to mention what's going on in your neck of the woods with your locals there, but ugliness there, losing to the Raiders after that one there. But anything else that I missed?
Oh, no. We've started. I forget the exact wording, but it's we're something and something for Caleb. And it's already, the chants have already started. He moves Malik Cunningham as the backup yesterday, and Bailey Zappi as the emergency quarterback. Now, this was a quarterback that stepped in for Mac last year, won 2 games, who's also now regressed. So we're 10-point underdogs against a Bills team that will be ready for that. I want to go back to the Eagles for a second. And on Fridays, we have Ron from Ron A Sports from LA talking, and he's been bullish on them 5, 6, 7 in the league here. Listen to this schedule to all the Eagle backers. Home this week against the Dolphins, which my spreadsheet had them a 0.5-point favorite. The public's now pushed them up to 2. At Washington, which on paper everyone's breathing easier. Don't breathe a little. Washington plays them real tough there. At home against the Cowboys, at the Chiefs, at home against the Bills, at home against the 49ers, and then at the Cowboys. Good luck there, Philly fans.
after that, and their defense has been looking better than I was given credit for. They got at Seattle after that. Depending on where Seattle is, that could be a huge game also. So, music to my ears for my Dallas NFC East future ticket, because I do have that in my back pocket there. But no, I mean, I was hoping on top of that, when I put the Dallas future, I was hoping that they would be having more than one loss through that first part of the schedule. They didn't look. They looked like they had a little bit of a hangover through these first 6 weeks. Obviously, made it up until yesterday without the loss there. So, I mean, still a good team, still a very good team. Still, if they get themselves 100% right, they're obviously a contender. But no, it's that is about as tough of a slate as you can lay down there. Where that Washington game, like you said, that was the one where they almost lost to them a few weeks ago in Philly there. So. I am excited for that. I am excited for that stretch. That should be interesting there. But speaking of tonight's action, speaking of Dallas, we've got tonight's action, Dallas and the Chargers. After what I said, I am, not necessarily all bullish on the Cowboys. That wasn't necessarily the transition there. But Cowboys, Chargers, 2-2 Chargers, 3-2 Dallas. Dallas now 1.5 favorites I'm seeing now. I saw 2 for a second there when we were starting, I think, but settling for the most part at 1.5 there. And like I said, not necessarily all in bullish on the Cowboys, because I do, despite Brandon Staley, I do like a lot of what the Chargers have to offer on a game-to-game basis. I guess my thought with this one, and it hasn't driven me to do anything too serious yet, is I'm still hearing a lot of negative. I mean, as you always say, we remember what we saw last. They just lost 42-10 on primetime last week. And I hear a lot of people talking about this Cowboys team as if they're not one of the 5 best teams in the NFC. Still very, very much even if they lose this game, I will still be very adamant that this Cowboys team is at the very least one of the 5 best teams in the NFC here. So I guess that's kind of what leads me into being interested in the Cowboys. But having said that, I've got some Charger future action. I think I'm drawing a blank out what it is off the top of my head with the win total I had there is. But nonetheless, I haven't done anything here with this one tonight yet. But I guess I'm leaning towards the Cowboys, despite the tough part is, though, that the Chargers are coming off a bye, and they've obviously had a lot of time to prepare for this one, and I don't have to go anywhere for this one.
It's funny. My original numbers was Dallas -2 with a 48, 1.5 across the Vegas Strip and on all the other sports books across the land. But the big move is the under-over as high as, actually it's down to 50.5. There was some 51s, back to 50.5. We always preach the public remembers what we saw last, and we remember them getting boat raced by the 49ers. I will throw out a stat, and listen, I'm not a trend guy. I just read the trends. I don't put them into our action because we're a numbers-based firm here. We read the market, but teams straight up against the 49ers the following week after playing them, 1-19 straight up. So the 49ers defense has a way of putting a little soreness into you. Now, all the pluses that I have for the Chargers here, week off,
yep,
the return of Eckler,
yep,
the Kellen Moore revenge game, knows that team inside and out, yet Dallas is still favored. So I preach here about trusting and respecting the opening number. And so with that line of Dallas -2, I thought there's only one way that could go is down. And I think the books might have even thought maybe some sharps of the public would push it to 2.5 or 3. It never went that way. I think the sneaky way to get in, if you like the Chargers tonight, is their team total over 24.5. You can get that at plus 105. So you need to get to 26, 27, 28 or whatever. You'll know early. This game is all predicated real simply. How many times does Parsons get to Herbert? Will there be any rust for Eckler? Will they get Quentin Johnson now into the game? I love teams coming off buys. You get your rookies more involved. Maybe it's Quentin Johnson. Maybe it's Josh Palmer. Don't forget Big Mike out. Keenan Allen. Is it Parnham or Everett at the tight end slot there? For Dallas, obviously, there's some rumblings going back and forth with CeeDee Lamb not happy with his looks. Jerry Jones intervening there. I expect some points on both sides. If you put a gun to my head, 30-27 Chargers.
I can't. I'll say the exact score the opposite way, but I'm not. It's not anything that I'd truly fight at you against, because I do like both these teams for the most in a lot of different ways here. I guess I'll go off script a little bit and say because of these two coaches and what I know them to be, if any of these two teams gets out to a 2-3 score lead, I might be live betting the opposite side to make a little bit of a comeback and slide into whatever that live spread is, because both these two teams have no bearings on how to hold leads with Mike McCarthy or Brandon Staley and company there. So I'll go if this game gets out of hand in the first half, I'll go with the opposite team to make a little bit of a comeback. But I do think this is going to be a really good game. If the Chargers were, I honestly, I did forget about that 49ers stat, because that is something to mention for sure, and I'm glad you mentioned that because that's not nothing there. I wish the Chargers that were in a better spot where maybe they had just beaten somebody. They didn't have a bye, and maybe they just beat somebody by 3 scores last week or something like that. Then I'd probably be all in on the Cowboys. But I think this could be a really, really good game, and we're in for some fireworks here. Tough to get in. I guess not tough, but necessarily. They priced you out of Tony Pollard and Austin Eckler touchdowns. I see minus 195 for Mr. Eckler, 180 for Tony Pollard. So making you go 2 touchdowns if you like both those guys. Anyone else that you would pick? I'll go first. I like what I've seen. I've got Tony Pollard in a couple different spots in fantasy football. He is one of my main guys in my dynasty league, so love Tony Pollard. Kept him this season there. But I do like what I've seen in certain spots from their backup, Rico Dowdle, who they've not been shy about giving some touches in certain spots. So I'll go Mr. Rico Dowdle plus 340 to get an anytime touchdown for the Cowboys.
I like where your eyes are there. I like to try to think outside the box. And I like Monday night games. I'm going to go with the tight end from the Chargers there. What is it? Parnham?
Donald Parham.
Yeah. What is his number?
Plus 450. Plus 450. I'll take that with you.
Okay. And then on the Dallas side, I'm going to go sneaky here. A guy that's been real quiet of late, Mr. Brandon Cooks.
Also plus 340. He's looked nice when he's been out there, but plus 340 as well there.
Yes. So those will be my 2 anytime touchdowns there. As the bottom of the second now, and this needs to be said too, what the road teams, the Diamondbacks have done and the Rangers have done, and the Diamondbacks did this to the Dodgers, is put up crooked numbers early, first inning, second inning. So not only was Houston, whose bats were silenced yesterday, now it's kind of a must-win for them. And Texas comes in and puts up 4 in the first. And the Astros already got 2 errors too. So you start to feel that pressure. And the fact, again, Eovaldi is a bulldog. So it's going to be real. Listen, you're going to have to scratch in a few single runs here, get it close, and in that back end, try to make some noise here as I'm looking as we speak. And bottom of the second, and 4-0 there. Closing thoughts, anything in particular? I mean, it's so busy right now. NFL tonight, college, Major League playoffs. You got NHL. You're going to have college football throughout the week, and we're almost getting ready for Mactober or whenever the Mac starts playing Tuesday, Wednesday. For yourself, and we didn't even talk golf. How do you handle all this? Because in 2 weeks, it's November 1st and the start of college basketball. Where my UConn Huskies, defending national champs, by the way, start the season number 6. And I've talked to a lot of colleagues, Riley, the last couple of weeks trying to get ready. They're saying this Kansas team is a wagon this year.
Yeah, and you bringing up college basketball is a great way to say it, but it's almost it is tough to keep up at everything, but you obviously just have to do what you can. And I guess as far as golf, like Tom Kim, one of my favorite guys to watch, gets the win, but I can't in that situation. I can say that I dove too deep into those numbers or watched too much golf this weekend, but at least take a peek enough to know what's going on in that world before as we kind of get into. Not necessarily off season because it's obviously good tournaments, but I guess I'm putting golf on the back burner is one thing to say. But I kind of got to set aside some time, in time where I might normally kick my feet up or something to at least try and dig into not just college basketball, but the NBA is coming back in less than 2 weeks. I mean, the preseason's hot and heavy, for goodness sakes. Love some preseason NBA talk as well, and the funny thing is when you get to NFL and college football, you've had 2 months of just focusing on mostly one sport and maybe some golf in our case, and you've got all this time to prepare for football. And now, if it's a week and a half away from the NFL season, we've probably already been talking until we're blue in the face about the upcoming NFL season. We barely mentioned what's going on in the NBA, and I can't fault it either. Most people don't give a hoot about it until Christmas, so I'm not saying anything that we're missing anything, but nonetheless, as far as this week is concerned, I'm probably diving deep into making that big deep dive into both of those leagues there. So it is tough to keep up on everything, but you do your best, and it helps when you got multiple TVs as far as keeping up on sports action as far as that is concerned. So I do that little multi-screen action, trying had football and baseball on last night, as I'm sure a lot of people did with baseball and Sunday Night Football, and I will have again here tonight. So a lot of that, but it's tough, man. So you gotta set some time aside sometimes to make sure you do your research and dive into things. I guess the best I can say there.
To everyone watching and listening in the first 6 or 7 minutes of the show, Mr. Alvarez does go yard. So if you did get a little pizza and beer on Mr. Alvarez, 4-1 bottom of the second there. All the ECSI VIPs, including yourself, Riley, check your emails as the new edition of the Moneyline Memo has just been sent out. Shout out to Cade Horton. Shout out to Olu. Shout out to Bennett, Evan, and of course, Joseph Shea for all their hard work there. It looked amazing. Got a nice recap on the NFL games there. Our picks for tonight, we covered today. We got a little NFL action. We got a little, obviously, series action here on Houston. We stayed away Arizona and the Phillies there. We got some NHL action as well. So we had 4 plays altogether, which for us on a Monday is a big slate here. Let me just double check here for a second. Astro series. Oh, I'm sorry. We did dive into a little Phillies action, Diamondbacks. So if you're not a part of the ECSI VIPs, reach out to me at East Coast Sports Investors at gmail.com or go to my EC Sports Invest and DM me. We do have some action there, some NHL first period action, and we talked about the Chargers team total there. Tomorrow, 10 a.m. breakfast bankroll again with CEO and founder of WagerWire, Mr. Travis Geiger, will be coming on the show talking about WagerWire app. If you haven't already, go download it at Google Play or wherever you download your apps. Sync up all your wagers. There's a lot of books where you can get some promos and stuff and get some free plays or some action with a deposit. If, for instance, like in Massachusetts, there's 8 live apps. So maybe you have a DraftKings, maybe you have a FanDuel or something, Caesars or any of the other big apps there. And again, WagerWire allows you to be a part of their affiliate program. So send an email to affiliate@wagerwire.com. Travis, Zach, or someone from their company will get in touch with you on how you can make money on the side there. Tomorrow, no closing bell, but we'll have a bankroll. And I'll be a guest on with Pop DiBiase for week 7 of the NFL Bet Exchange. Myself and Riley will be back on Wednesday and Thursday with the closing bell. I'm going to try to figure something out. We might be able to try to sneak something in, Riley, for a Big Ten preview. If not, actually, you know what? I am around Saturday morning. If you're around, we might be able to do something there, unless you will be
That might work.
at a game somewhere. Okay.
No, that might work.
So thanks to everyone watching and listening, obviously. Please go follow Riley at Riley_Magnuson, the one. Myself at EC Sports Invest on Twitter. Otherwise, have some fun. Enjoy the rest of the American League game. Don't forget about the nightcap tonight at 8:07. Dual TVs, Arizona and Phillies, and Dallas and the Chargers. Top of the third, 4-1 Texas. So enjoy the afternoon. Start the week off right. Do not go over those skis. It's a big window out here today. So don't wake up Tuesday morning with a big melon like this saying, oh, what did I do? And start chasing. So have a night. Have some fun. Thank you so much as always, Riley. And we will see you soon.